Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. I am joined by Katie Clark, the Director of Communications from the... Oh, excuse me, Laura, I've got that on my sheet here, so I said that wrong. I apologize. But the Utah Council for Citizen Diplomacy. I'll let you introduce yourself, since I can't do it. It's Laura Dupree.
It is Laura Dupree.
Sorry,
I'm the director. Sweetie. That's all right. Katie is in Minnesota right now.
Yeah, she sent me the information, so of course I read that instead of reading your name. I apologize.
Well, I'm delighted to get the chance to come up, and I got to hear the cowboy poetry
you were here just in time.
And hear a little music, so that was fabulous.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad we were able to see that part of it. In fact, we got a music thing you guys are doing that we're excited to talk about here in a minute, which we'll definitely do here shortly. But I want to talk about some of the guests you have coming up, because this next one's pretty interesting. Tariq Massoud.
Yeah, we're really excited about this next lecture. We have a World Affairs lecture series that we present in partnership with Westminster College, and he is going to be coming on Tuesday, November 13th at 7 p.m. Dr. Massoud is the Associate Professor at the John F. Kennedy School of Public Policy at Harvard University, and he is presenting a program on understanding Muslim societies.
Oh, wow. That'll be interesting.
This is a really fascinating topic that's really going to affect all of us.
Sure it is.
23% of the world's population are followers of Islam.
Right.
49 countries around the world have predominantly Muslim populations. And so we are seeing this domino effect of the Arab Spring. Egypt, Tunisia, Libya. We're seeing Syria every day in the news, and it's spilling over into Lebanon. Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan are all countries that have significant geopolitical meanings for us. And so Dr. Massoud's going to be here to help us understand some of the more factual and nuanced aspects of what Muslim societies are facing.
Right, and that's the part that I think is something that's challenging for us in America to start to understand, because we've always been kind of, I suppose American-centric may be the right word, I don't know, but we are in a global world, and something that Chelsea and I talked about even with regard to the storm in New York. We're very regional as far as our immediate thoughts. You know, we know that there's other things that are going on in the world, but things kind of continue on as normal. And I guess it's part of being in a global world, but at the same time, you do need to understand what's going on around you to react properly.
We really believe that. We believe that it's our responsibilities as citizens to, as we say, help shape U.S. foreign relations one handshake at a time through local engagement, which has a global impact.
Absolutely. So that's exactly it. Just I think that we've had so many things happening there, and even for someone who's very learned, it's quite a challenge just to kind of keep up. With the Egypt changing hands here just recently, and then of course, like you said, Syria. There's a lot going on. There
is, and in fact, Dr. Massoud's visit is being provided through a grant from the Carnegie Corporation of New York, and they have started a new series called Engaging America. And what this program is about is addressing what are the 6 top issues in U.S. national security. And so even if we're not feeling the impact of what's happening around the world in our daily lives, it has a profound impact on our national security issues.
Absolutely.
Certainly we saw that a bit in the presidential debate with foreign policy issues, but there's so much more that I need to learn about.
Right. Well, we all do. I mean, that's the whole point, right? Is that we're not going to already know this stuff. This is stuff you have to reach out and gather the information, because so often our news media, again, very centric on what happens here, and not so much about some of these things. Unless you watch the public stations, a lot of them, and get a little bit of a different feel from each of them, you really don't get a whole picture without going out and doing some investigation on your own.
That's really true. And when we think about our U.S. dollars that are being spent in military operations, in government, in trade, and educational exchanges, there's a lot of impact that we're not seeing on a daily basis, but it's significant, and we need to know more about this geopolitical region, because as I hear often from our Washington colleagues, this is our most critical national security issue, is understanding the countries that we're working with throughout the Middle East and the Arab-speaking world.
Well, and understanding that, you know, everybody, I think it's always tough for us to understand the difference between, even though we have them even here in America, extremists and people who are just, you know, they're just like us. They want to live a normal life. They've got a family, kids, the whole thing. They're just, you know, they have their belief system, and it may be different than ours, but really it's about finding a balance here of, like, how do we all associate with each other, and the few that we wish didn't associate with us, you know, we try to keep them from doing us all harm. Yeah. And that's really the effort, I think, of a global world, isn't it?
That's such a great point.
I mean, it's such a basic way of putting it, but
it is. We get such a skewed vision, just a small snapshot of this part of the world. And Dr. Massoud's talk is really going to focus on the rise of the Islamists in Egypt. The Muslim Brotherhood has taken control of the presidency and the parliament. What's that going to mean?
Right.
And his focus is really on how are the poor and the middle classes being affected by all of these social changes that are happening in these countries.
Yeah, very, very sensible to talk about that.
Yeah.
After him, what's the next one? That's another exciting one as well.
Oh boy, in January we're going to have Jan Grillo, and he is a Welsh journalist who lives in Mexico, but his most recent book is called El Narco, Inside Mexico's Criminal Insurgency.
Wow.
This is going to talk about, he's going to be talking about what the effect of this drug world in to the south of us, our good friends in Mexico are dealing with, and it's creating havoc among their culture.
It's a lot different than what we probably realize, or what it was even 20 years ago. When I was working in the Joint Drug Task Force, we were focused on the Caribbean and Colombia and all of that, and what we have realized now is that the Mexican cartels have gotten very, very mean, very, very tough, and really they've got a lot of money, which is a real problem, because now, of course, they're, you know, we see things besides drugs. They're taking people and hostages and all kinds of things, and it's a scary little part of it, isn't it?
It is. So we'll be excited. We'll be inviting Jan to join us.
His
while
insight
he's here.
should be spectacular.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your, as a last thing, let's talk about your fundraising event, Vivaldi.
Oh,
I'm excited about this.
We are celebrating the 30th anniversary of our Vivaldi by Candlelight concert. This is our annual fundraising event, and it's so special and magical. It is Utah's only all-Baroque concert, and this year, as a very special treat, we're featuring all 4 of the Four Seasons concertos by Vivaldi.
Oh, wow.
So the perennial favorites.
All 4 seasons, that'll be great.
All 4 seasons. And in addition, to complement our international work, we are welcoming a renowned oboist from Great Britain who plays with the BBC Radio Symphony Orchestra, and so
he's
David
Welsh,
Cowley,
right? Yeah, David Cowley.
Yeah, and Jerry Elias, who is well known in the local circles as a musician and an author of mysteries, is our music director. And so together they're going to play a Bach, the oboe and violin concerto, and then a concerto for 2 oboes. So
that'll be fun.
It is going to be spectacular. And how many organizations have an event like this that's lasted 30 years?
It's amazing.
It is.
And what is the night on this again?
It is Saturday, December 15th.
Okay.
And people can call us at the Utah Council for Citizen Diplomacy for tickets.
Great.
It's held at the First Presbyterian Church in Salt Lake City.
All right.
So
what's the number they can reach you guys at?
It is 801-832-3272.
All right. And do you guys, your website one more time? We talk about that often, but let's get that real
Thanks
quick.
for asking. It's www.utah-diplomacy.org.
All right. So you can find more information about all of this. Laura, thank you so much for being on the show with us. Appreciate it. And sorry for butchering the name part earlier. My apologies. That's a carnal sin. I apologize for that. Oh, darn it.
I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank
we'll be
you.
back after these messages.